entrepreneurs and people that are starting out here in Canada, I'm always like, well, what about Denmark? What about Sweden? They don't think about it. And then they look at the entry points of the UK and the complexities now with the, to get into that market, or even with France. And they don't realize that the same way that it was not simple, but that a lot of Nordic brands installed into Canada, there also is that other element where they can head into there. And because there's so many similarities between it, I don't think there has to be that much change within the products.
Yeah.
I think you really have to believe, if you have the right assortment and the right plan, instead of modifying it because we're so similar, you can actually
Yeah.
just have to go and present. And I
Mhm.
think that that's, in Denmark, Sweden and Norway and Iceland did something called Cool Nordic prior to the pandemic. And so they would host these events where they would bring all these designers and all these buyers from the different houses, and everybody would work together, and a lot of business happened in that period. I feel like that's also something that has to now maybe go the other way within the Nordic countries, to be able to get those buyers in front of it. Because once you get the product and the product's a winner, then the story makes sense. But you have to first have your head turned. In my opinion, yes, we have to sell Canada, we have to sell who we are, but we also have to boost up and invigorate and be proud of the designs that we have and get them out to market.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think that that truthfully is, in my opinion, an issue that I see, that we're almost afraid to go to those shows, and it's expensive and it's a risk, but also,
Yeah.
even just going to Vancouver is a risk, when
Yeah.
you're meeting customers.
I'm
Yeah.
a bit too minded about this. I definitely understand your point on like how are we going to be able to export our productions, our design, our creativity, and that is really important. And I think this is probably where storytelling plays a
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
and key part. On the other side, the reason why I am too minded is because I do think there should be a strict approach of how we keep things distinctively Canadian or Quebecois, because we
Absolutely.
want
Yeah.
people to buy into it, right? We
Yeah.
don't want to be catering to another market, and which can kind of muddy, our materials, our resources. We've
Yeah.
seen what that has done to our economy, just from being completely import driven versus export. And especially in the fashion industry, we have a lot of fast fashion brands,
Yeah.
but the luxury boutique brands, they struggle. And I think it's because they've made a conscious decision to keep their identity and their design codes distinctly either regional or speaking to their Canadian market. But again, they struggle with translating that, as you were saying, Robert, to more an international market. How are they reaching there? So this is where storytelling plays a part. So Adrienne, can you tell me why, like, how was the storytelling aspect from our north to yours? How did it play a role in allowing you to tap into the Nordic regions, when you said earlier that they didn't really know anything about
Yeah.
Canadian fashion, or didn't
Yeah.
even affiliate us with that?
Yeah. We really wanted to create a narrative that really translated in the visual that we worked with, the creative brief, the initial pitch that we had. It was really important for us to have all those pieces that really worked together, and that we were almost like sharing a story with the creators that we reached out to. But we reached out to creators, but also, like I said, some media, stylists as well. We really wanted for them also to discover the brands, and it was really important for us to really have a good presentation and talk about, Canadian fashion as a whole as well, with really, key elements that were our different tools. So that's how it kind of worked for us. And we really had this also kind of like, initially we wanted to have like a postcard that we were sending to those people with, the tagline "From our north to yours," with a little visual with the different brands. And then because we kind of like walked away from the seating with the influencers, we kind of put that element aside, but we still used it in elements that the creator that we worked with